In this video, I'm going to point out some things about the gradebook that you may not know. So I am in this course as a fake student named George Bailey. You can see his name up here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Grades in the left-hand menu. And that will take me to Grades for George Bailey. And you can actually, if you have multiple courses, you can actually switch between the courses to see the grades for other courses as well. And then we're going to stay in this course. And when you first come in, you see this total of 60.6%. But that is a total only for graded items. And you can see everything that's graded is in gray. So what that means is that this item, this technology use survey, was due August 25th. So it looks like this is an assignment that perhaps George didn't do or was never graded by the instructor. So that is not included in the 60.6%. So if your instructor has left ungraded assignments blank, then your current average will not be correct. If the instructor went back in and put a 0 here, then this grade would drop to about 58, 59%. And that would be the correct total for all the work that has been submitted this far. So if I want to see what the grade for George is for the entire course at this point, where does he stand right now, I can unclick Calculate Based Only on Graded Assignments. And when I do that, it drops to 21.8% because there are a lot of assignments coming up that are weighted fairly heavily. So at this point, for everything in the course, he's at 21.8%. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is that these are categories, and these are the totals for the categories. So by far, George is doing the worst in quizzes, and when you pass over it, you can see he has 33 points out of 105 total points, so not very well. 30 out of 65 on discussions, but the percentage is a little higher, 40 out of 92 on quizzes. So really not doing well in these areas. So let me change this back now to only graded items, and you can see that George really needs to work on his quizzes and on his assignments, but he's doing well in discussion. So this is a good way for you to kind of get a sense of how you're doing overall. And these NA are because there are no grades recorded here yet. So that's why you see an NA. Now, a couple other things. When you click on the check mark, you can actually see how you did with respect to other students in the class. So when I do that, it expands and it shows me that the mean score was 4.2. The assignment had a total of 5 points. The high was a 5, the low was a 0, and graphically, here's your score, and when you pass over it, it shows you 5 out of 5. So you were one of the people that had a high, or George was one of the people that had a high score. And then just close to close that. In terms of comments, if your instructor has left a comment on an assignment, when you click this bubble, you'll see the comments that were left for that particular assignment. So I have one more thing I want to show you, and this is pretty cool. So George, he's only got about 60.6%, but let's do this. Let's say he gets 20 on this assignment. All I did was click on the score column, and then I typed in a possible score. And when I hit enter, that score becomes a what-if score, hypothetical score. And you can differentiate it from the other scores by looking at the color. It's sort of a maroon color. And then it will have an arrow next to it to revert back to the original score. But notice how that brings the percentage up. So I can do this one too, and let's say, all right, this one I should be able to get a 20 on that, or George should be able to. And the PowerPoint, let's say 18. And data analysis, well, we'll go with 40 because I'm not that great at data analysis, and so on. And so you can see if George just does this well on the upcoming assignments, that he will raise his average from a D to a C. So you can do this, you can play all the way down to the end. Let's say we're getting a 10 on this quiz, and just quickly go in and fill that out. And so with those scores, he can raise his percentage to 77.9, which is actually pretty close to a B. So if you wanted to work a little harder on some of these, you probably could bring his score up. So let's see. If we gave him a 95, yep, there it is. So you can play around with this. If you want to revert all of the scores back, then you come click the button, revert to actual score. And now we're back. So a couple of important things to remember here. Any of these little dashes are not included in the running total, the current running total. And it always defaults to based only on graded assignments. And then also you should notice that you can print your grades out if you would like. And so those are the things I wanted to show you to make sure you knew how to use this gradebook.